A lot of times I see male bashing has become a sport. And it saddens me when I see that. And I see that on social media and I see it in conversations. You get together with the girls, what's happening in the conversation? It's all male bashing.
Did you push record?
Thanks so much for tuning in again to our second act with Paige and Silka. Today we continue our conversation with Alexandra Levin, the co-founder of the Back 40. Alexandra, thanks for staying over.
Thanks for having me. It's always great to chat with you.
Well, we had fun, and we're going to have fun on this segment. And particularly, we had some comments lately on some of our videos, which were focused on emotional availability or unavailability. And a lot of men left comments as, well, it's always our fault. Why is it always our fault? Blah, 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 blah. Well, when it comes to being emotionally available or unavailable, there is big differences between men and women. Today, you have again a refreshing point that our male audience is really going to like, because we want to give equal time here, and that is that women need to ease up a little bit.
I think so. And yeah, we do have a cultural or societal conversation going on that men are emotionally unavailable. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe some are not. I'm sure there's some men who are emotionally available and some women who are not. And I think a lot of it has to do with some of the natural male makeup and not how they have been trained. And I think, we talk about men and women wanting to be similar or they're, the same or equal, and of course equal. But we're so different. I think we want to celebrate those differences. And another thing is men and women are about 50% of population each. So when we see things like, every woman needs a hug every day, well, what about the guys? They're 50% of the population. I bet a lot of them wouldn't mind a hug either.
Yeah. Well, I think the conversation, it comes up because after 50 and of course with the Back 40 you focus on this all the time too. We our first half sets us up for our second half, and unfortunately some of that means in our second half we leave relationships. Women leave relationships, and their complaint is, my husband doesn't understand me, doesn't listen, doesn't pay attention. And there's truth to that. But what do we do wrong? How can we be better and not necessarily do the blame game or let it get to that point?
Well, I think it's accurate. Sometimes they don't listen, sometimes they don't understand, sometimes they don't or do X, Y, and Z, and we do too. I had 2 prior marriages before, and I don't think it's them or us. I think we all do the things that don't work and don't do the things that work. And the biggest thing, I think there are 2 big things as far as the joint workability is communication and continuous ongoing communication and joint growth. I really think the main reason people don't stay together is because they grow either different ways or different rates, and they just not in sync anymore. And the couples who are together for a long time and stay together for a long time, lots of variables, but they seem to be growing and changing and evolving similarly. And another thing, as far as women, I think what may be missing is really supporting and empowering our men. And nobody is perfect, and yes, no man is perfect and no woman is perfect either. We're human. We're perfect in that imperfection. So, a lot of times I see male bashing has become a sport. And it saddens me when I see that. And I see that on social media and I see it in conversations. You get together with the girls, what's happening in the conversation? It's all male bashing. My husband this and my husband that. And that saddens me. And I think even if they don't hear it, the energy is there. I think no matter what happens, we can't go wrong empowering our men,
Yeah. Yeah.
being their greatest champion, being their greatest supporter in words, in actions, and whatever we do. And sometimes things don't work and that or don't work out. They still work, they just don't work out a particular way, and that's fine. But I think if we just put some focus onto being a great partner, that's a good start in having a great partner. We want to be and become and express that first.
Yeah, that's a good point that you brought up about, especially about band bashing. There is a lot of that. I don't allow that on this platform. I don't allow either. You know, and there probably is a lot more women bashing, especially after 50, that we get. YouTube can be very very cruel sometimes. Of course, there are people that have been hurt and find a way to express it anonymously. But I agree that bashing men doesn't get you anywhere, and it just keeps that. What advice do you have for women that, you know, listening and saying, yeah, well, but he does do this, and I am sick and tired of this, and I'm tired of telling him how great he is, and I'm not getting anything in return?
Yeah, advice is a very tricky thing, because as many human beings as there may be 500 different pieces of advice depending on two different human beings in the same situation. And, as a coach, I will coach, but I don't give advice unless, very rarely. Just because if I give advice, it's from my vantage point, from my life experience, from who I am. It may or may not apply to the other people because of their life experience and their dynamic. But the one thing that I think can always work no matter what is learning to really, one, speak your truth, setting up the environment. And you don't say it in the heat of an argument, because nobody can hear, not a man, not a woman can hear the other one in the heat of an argument. You set up a time to communicate. You speak your truth. You don't interrupt. The other person listens. Then the other person speaks their truth. And you just make sure you get the other person, you get to communicate. That may be a little bit of a window of an opportunity to get to the real commitment. Because whenever people are mad at each other, there's a different commitment. There's a commitment to something else underneath all that. And if you get to that commitment, that usually a bond from which you can find common ground and grow towards each other rather than be frustrated with each other.
Yeah, well, and especially at this time in our life, we have so much baggage, so much history, so much stuff we bring to the table into new situations that it's we as women tend to want to talk about it a lot more. And it's a fine line. When do you talk too much? When, what can we, I guess what I'm trying to say is the only thing you can control is yourself. So I wanted to have this conversation with you today to, bring some different perspective to women who are frustrated and maybe don't see what they're bringing to the table. How would you like to end this segment?
Well, here's another thing I think we all want to be mindful of, and I do that for myself as well, because just like everybody else, I have similar emotions, I have all that. Whenever I think, oh, I'm just so sick and tired of this always happens, that is my clue that this is not about this. This is about those 50 years of baggage, other relationship, other situations, all that make this sound so terrible right now. So then it's time to unravel and look at each situation at a time, because we can't blame our current partner for, whatever numbers of relationships that didn't work or worked or whatever happened, but they end up being the one, it's all wrong. It's all men are do this.
Yeah.
So, just kind of unravel and focus on what's in front of our face.
Well, I think that's a great way to end it. Is that it's not all men, as it is not all women, and that's what we need to get out of our vocabulary, both of us. It's what do we bring? We're 50% of every problem, and outside of abusive, that's something totally different. But when it just comes to getting along in relationships, mutual respect, and a willingness to work. Alexandra, we will link to all of your information, to your journal, which helps women explore and love their inner selves, which might help getting along with their man.
It actually does. It absolutely does.
It was fun chatting with you. We'll see you next time
Same here. Thank you.
on our second act with Paige and Silka. Bye-bye. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. The button is right over here. Just click right on through to YouTube. And when you see that little bell right next to the subscribe button, hit that too. You'll be notified every time we release a new video. See you next time.